Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about something special because while I love Transformers, during the past year or so I've been really into Kamen Rider. I'm sure that's no surprise at this point if you've seen my channel. But because of that, I've really always wanted as in the past year or so, I've always wanted there to be a Kamen Rider and Transformer collab just because I love both franchises so much. And I remember a while back I was just scrolling around and then I saw someone do a fan art of Kamen Rider Drive but with an Optimus Prime shift car, and I thought, that was pretty cool, and I thought nothing of it after that. However, months went by and whatnot, and you see all the things in Transformers, because if you don't know right now, in 2024, it was the 40th anniversary of Transformers, and so they did a lot of collabs and whatnot, and I thought, well, they're probably never going to do a Kamen Rider collab, so what if I just did it myself? And that made me remember the fan art I saw months ago of Kamen Rider Drive, and I thought, well, I can just get a shift car and paint it Optimus Prime colors, and boom, there we go. We can get our Transformers Kamen Rider right now. And so, how did I do that? So, a little context for those that don't know who Kamen Rider Drive is. So, Kamen Rider Drive is basically a Kamen Rider. He's a police officer, and he uses essentially what are toy cars to transform. They are called shift cars. And essentially what you do is you get the car, you twist it, and it kind of creates a little handle. You put it onto a basically little brace, little thing he has on his arm called a shift brace. You put it in there, and then you will shift the car and he will transform and whatnot. But the thing is, there are different types of shift cars. There are some that actually give him a new form, and then there are those that all they really do is give him a power up and change the tire that he has on in that form. And for this Optimus Prime shift car, I wanted it to be an actual one that gives him a new form, not a tire change to give him a new power. I want it to be a new form. And after looking around, I thought the best one to base it off was Type Technic, because Type Technic kind of already looked like a Transformer. It already had that mouthpiece and it had the two ears like Optimus Prime. And so I thought that would be a good idea, but I didn't like how the Type Technic car actually looked. In fact, I can get it right here for you. Alright, and here is Type Technic. As you can see, it looks more kind of like a garbage truck, dump truck, and less like a truck that Optimus Prime would turn into. And see here, you can flip it up like this. You would put it into the brace, and then you would go up and down like that. And so while I liked the idea of it being Type Technic, I didn't want it to look like Technic. And so I looked around at the different shift cars they had, and I decided on Road Winter. I thought it looked the most like the old G1 Optimus Prime truck, and so I decided that would be the basis for Optimus Prime, or Type Optimus Prime, whatever you want to call it. One thing is, I didn't want the sound to be the same as the regular Type Technic sound. I want it to be its own unique thing. And fortunately, with the actual toy itself, so one thing about the Kamen Rider Drive Belt, the Drive Driver, is that it uses a pin system, which is where cars, all the shift cars, have this little thing attached to it right here. All these little like pegs and bumps on the thing. And this is what the belt uses to read the car and know what specific sounds to play. And each car will have a different code. And so the one thing about the Drive Driver is that there are a lot of sounds in the belt that don't have an official way for you to actually access them. As in, there are probably like canceled sounds. Maybe they're going to have a toy later on, but then ended up not doing so. Regardless, even though there are no toys for the sounds were already pre-programmed into the belt. So the belt still can make those sounds. All you need to know is the actual code to get the sounds. And once you did, you could make the belt do the sounds. And so my plan was to get Road Winter, change the code on the little lever here to Type Ultra Technic, and then boom, done. Repaint it as Optimus Prime, do whatever I gotta do, and it should be a pretty easy project. Wrong. So, my original plan was to take a Type Road Winter, take Type Technic, take it apart, take out the little shift lever here, and then swap it so that now it could have the Type Technic lever. Then all I would have to do is customize a little bit to get the Type Ultra Technic. However, when I disassembled it, I realized that the lever is actually attached to the base of the car, so you can't actually remove that without actually cutting it, and I really didn't want to do anything like that. So, original plan already failed. That was when I noticed that the Road Winter code and the Type Technic code were actually quite similar to each other, and so I would just keep it and then customize whatever I had to with the Road Winter lever. So I got an extra Type Technic for no reason. Now, even before I started this project, something went wrong, which is that the driver that I bought ended up kind of being faulty, because what ends up happening is that dust can collect into the pins or the reader that reads the code on the cars, and so my shift brace, the actual device that reads the cars and knows what sounds to play, was faulty and really had trouble reading what cars it was. A lot of times it would just give me an error, and so I had to take that apart and clean it, and luckily the thing works now. But while putting it back together, I ended up stripping a screw hole, and that was a warning sign. I should have stopped the project there, but I didn't. Alright, so now that I took everything apart, it was time to prep it for painting. And before you paint, you should prime, just so the paint has a better way to stick onto the actual toy itself. And so I took it all apart and started to mask all the spots that I didn't want primer to get onto. So did all of that. That all worked great. Now, how do I actually go about getting to paint this thing? Because I didn't want to hold the actual piece itself, because then it would just leave my fingerprints on it. So I had some blue tack, I took some popsicle sticks, and then I attached it to the pieces. Perfect, but I didn't have a stand. So genius me thought, well, I have construction paper. What happens if I just made a little stand and then popsicles will go into there? Well, I tried that and it didn't work. It's too flimsy. So I ended up going the old school way. I don't know if it's actually old school. I took a piece of cardboard and I used that instead. Much more rigid, structurally sound, works good. So then I primed it, and priming it went pretty well. Nothing, no big issues there. Then it got to actually painting the parts. So of course, Road Winter, while it looks like a truck that Optimus Prime would be, it doesn't have the same colors as Optimus. Optimus Prime is the red, blue, and then also his trailer is the silver. And so I got some paints. I decided to go for hand brushing just because, or hand painting, just because since it was such a small thing, I thought it'd be easier just to hand paint each of that. And the silver paint went perfectly well. Nothing wrong there, no issues. The issue arose when I started to paint the cab of the truck. This is when things went downhill real fast. I am not an expert painter, and to paint the front of the cab red, I liked that the Road Winter original colors had the blue windshield, like how Optimus has blue windshields, and so I was going to keep it like that. But because of my hands not being as steady as they should have been, I ended up getting red paint onto the windshield, and when I tried to remove it, I ended up scraping the paint and ruining it, and then in the process also ruining the red paint that I just painted on there. And so, much to my dismay, I had to basically sand it all down and repaint the whole thing. Not the whole thing, just the front of the cab. Which I did. But in the process, I ended up sanding away the blue on the windshield. And so now I had to figure out a way to get blue windshields. Because I didn't buy blue paint. I didn't think I would need or light blue paint for the windshields. I had regular blue for the legs of Optimus when he's in his truck mode. If you know, you know. But I didn't have the light blue color that I needed for the windshield. And so after getting the red paint and all that, I realized I had light blue construction paper. And so, very tediously, I went through the process of cutting each one to fit basically as perfectly as I could onto each of the windshields. They were super tiny. Like microscopically tiny. A lot of trial and error. So much trial and error. But we got through it. We painted it, and then I glued it onto the front, and now the windshields are on there. They're not as good as I would have liked it to be, but you know what? It's good enough. It's good enough. So now one of the things I had to do was now get the Autobot insignia onto this thing. You know, Optimus Prime, obviously. Leader of the Autobots, you gotta have an Autobot sticker on there, or some type of Autobot logo. And I actually had some really cool stickers that I got from, I think it was Show Z store when I bought something from them, and it was a freebie, which was nice. One thing though, is me being an idiot, they were not regular stickers, they were dry transfers. And so how dry transfers work is they're kind of similar to water slides, except you don't need water. Essentially you cut it out, and then you, so how a dry transfer works is there are basically 3 layers to it. There is the backing paper, there's the front clear layer, and then there's the actual decal in the center. And so how you're supposed to use a dry transfer, you cut out the logo that you want, you cut out the decal, and then you peel off the backing paper and attach the decal onto whatever surface you want to do, and then you rub it into place, and then you peel off the clear layer on the front. And what you're left behind with is the decal just on the surface. I thought these were regular stickers, and so I was wondering, why is there 3 layers? Why is the sticker not peeling off correctly? And I ended up ruining quite a few of them. Stupid me. So I ended up having to use regular Autobot stickers that I got from my Combiner Wars Megatron that I had years ago now, to put that onto the trailer. And of course, they really had trouble sticking on because the trailer is on like an angle. It's kind of like this. It's not perfectly flat. There's an angle, and so I had to use some. I had some super glue, and so I just put little dabs on there and then stuck it on, and now it sticks pretty well on there, which is good. So that was good. And then because I ruined a lot of the decals I was going to use for the thing. Now, one thing you should know about the shift cars is that on the bottom of them they have a sticker that tells you what they are. Some sticker like that. All the ones that transform have the drive symbol on there. But this is Optimus Prime. I don't care about the drive symbol. I want an Autobot sticker. And so I used a really big dry transfer. First off, I removed the sticker, the original sticker on Road Winter, slapped on, and then put the dry transfer on there. And even though it's really big, I think it looks pretty nice. I think it looks pretty nice on there. I'm just glad the Autobot sticker was on there. And so now all of it was basically done. All I needed to do now was apply a clear coat to protect the paint, and we'll be all good. What could go wrong? So when I applied the clear coat, most of the paint was fine, except the silver paint. The paint that went perfectly fine did not like that clear coat, and it started to wrinkle up and crumple. And so I had to go back, sand down any of the crinkled up parts as best as I could, and then repaint it. That was a very miserable experience, but you know what? We did it. You can still see some of the wrinkles and stuff, but they're a lot better than they were before. But at this point, I just didn't care. I think the main thing was I was trying to make it as perfect as possible, and then by the end of it, I was like, just get this done. Just get this done. And so I didn't even bother applying another clear coat because I was so worried about it just crumpling up again. So there are some spots on the silver paint that don't have any clear coat on them, although you can't really tell, to be honest with you. They look the same. I can't tell. I literally cannot tell. I can sit there and look at it. I just can't tell. But I put it back all together, and then we were done. Almost done. I forgot one step. Then I actually had to do the code. So the one thing was the video that I was looking at to figure out what code I needed to get the Ultra Technic sound. It was kind of hard to see what the actual code was because of the way the lighting was in the video. So after messing around with my Road Winter, I was able to get the code, and so I had to cut out some of the pegs on the Road Winter lever and then sand it down, obviously, so there's no rough edges. And then what I did was I used some of the popsicle sticks that I had earlier from the painting stage. So I just grabbed the end that didn't have any paint on it, and then I sanded that down and cut it down to make it as much as a regular bump as possible. And then I hot glued that thing on there, and then now everything was done. And so here is the final result, and I think it looks pretty good. I think I did a pretty good job with it. Like I said, there's definitely some imperfections and things I would have changed to it, but overall it looks pretty good. You can flip it down. There's the Autobot symbol right there. So now, the moment you're all been waiting for, it's time to henshin into Kamen Rider Drive type Optimus type Ultra Technic type whatever you want to call it. It's that. And that is my journey on how I turned Optimus Prime into a Kamen Rider. Hopefully you all enjoyed it more than I did making this thing, but it is what it is. Now at least now I can say I have an Optimus Prime Kamen Rider toy. I can say I have that now. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time for whatever the next video is. Bye!